You've heard the calls, you've heard the responses from protesters. We know what you said on the radio today and that you are doing all you can to get prosecutions, but they don't think so. So what do you want to say to those protesters, those thousands of people that are outside right now?
Well, I wish I could be with them, and I wish we could sit down and talk, Pat. This is a short period of time to explain it. But as you know, these cases are very, very difficult. There are very few convictions throughout the United States of police officers, and that's because of the law, the facts, and the jurors. And since I've been DA, we have prosecuted 21 police officers. And in the state, we have the only prosecution for an officer-involved shooting. That said, what I think the protesters don't understand is that my record is far better than a number of people who are claiming they want to change the system, they want to come in and prosecute officers. We take these cases very, very seriously. I, as an African-American woman, am always seeking justice. But oftentimes, Pat and Jeff, I look at the facts of the case and they are not prosecutable because maybe the person has a weapon or a gun, or they shot someone, or they knifed someone. And those are uphill odds. But notwithstanding that, the DA's office has a record of taking tough cases to trial. And it's just not true that we want to look the other way. In these cases, we're trying very, very hard to do the best we possibly can.
DA Lacey, you have said charging police officers with a crime is one of the most difficult challenges that you have faced as district attorney. That tells me that you're somewhat dissatisfied with the system. So how do you change that?
You know, I think the key change from my observation after reviewing hundreds of these cases is that police officers, first of all, need better training, better tools, better policies. I believe in training officers on how to de-escalate a situation with particularly someone who has a mental health issue or someone who is under the influence of drugs. And because of that, I formed a committee. We published the Blueprint for Change, and we've actually trained 2,000 officers in the last few years. But I just want to, as a human being, talk to you a little bit about this. This is a human problem. No one person is responsible for racial bigotry or hatred. We all need to search our hearts and minds and start looking at people as human beings. I know I've been the victim of discrimination, even as the DA. But the bottom line is this is a human heart problem, and I'm so glad the protesters are protesting today because it's something we need to talk about. I obviously don't agree with them about getting me out of office, and I don't plan to resign. But I think this is an important moment in our country where we may actually see some changes that need to be had. I don't come to saying I have all of the answers. I don't. But I think training, examining hearts and minds, and also successful prosecutions of those cases that can be prosecuted will change. And we've already started to see some change here in LA County.
All right, Jackie, and I'm going to call you Jackie because we talk to each other that way.
Right. For sure.
Okay. I wanted to
Everybody calls me Jackie, so that's fine.
I wanted to ask you about, really quickly, because we do want to talk about the national case, which has brought so much protest around the world and is one of the reasons why there are so many people in downtown Los Angeles today and around the country. But I do want to go back to what you said about the law. What needs to happen with the law that would make it a bit easier to bring prosecutions when they should be brought? I'm not talking about tedious prosecutions, but you talked about how difficult it is, and part of that, you said, is the law. So how can that be changed?
Sorry, Pat. The law allows an officer to use deadly force if he or she feels that her life is in danger or the life of someone else is in danger. What I'd like to see change in the law has to do more with training, with equipping police officers with more equipment, less deadly force. That's what I really would like to see happen. But the law, it's going to be difficult to change a law that says you can use deadly force, because put yourself in the place of a peace officer. If someone was coming at you and you thought they were going to kill you, I think you'd use deadly force. But it does seem as though in those close cases, it's too quick, and maybe if officers were trained or had less deadly means available, that you would see less loss of life.
Well, Jackie, I know they're going to be mad at me, but I got to ask you this question very, very quickly. The case in Minneapolis, what do you think? Will there be convictions? Is it easier?
I hope so. These cases are tough, but this one is different, Pat. I have not seen, and I've reviewed a lot of cases, I have not seen a knee on somebody's neck for 8-9 minutes before in my entire life. I've never seen that police tactic, and I'm glad they don't use it in our state or in our county. But I think that it will be successful against the officer who had his knee on the man's neck. I also think that the officers who were actually kneeling on George Floyd at the time, that'll be successful. I think it'll be tougher, though, for the officer just standing there.
DA Jackie Lacey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.